see everybody. This is Pastor Jamie from the House Church, and we are spending the next several weeks talking about how kings think, how to think like royalty. Jesus spent the days before he ascended into heaven teaching his disciples the things pertaining to the kingdom, and so that's what we're focusing on. And today, as I was thinking about family and life, we had a family member who had a birthday today. In fact, my children's grandfather, so my wife's dad, had his birthday today, and we were talking over the phone and sharing some of the reasons why we love him as a grandfather. And it got me thinking about the inheritance that the world leaves to future generations and the inheritance that godly people leave to generations. This is Proverbs chapter 13 and verse 22. It says this: "A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. The wealth of the sinner is stored up for the righteous." Again, a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. The wealth of the sinner is stored up for the righteous. So in the kingdom, our inheritance is not seen in money. In the kingdom of God, your earthly possessions are not what tells the story of how godly you were, or just how significant you are in God's eyes and in his kingdom. In the kingdom, the way that a righteous person thinks is we think in terms of righteousness. We think in terms of godly behavior. And so when we look at this, that a righteous man, a good man, will leave an inheritance for his children's children, we're not just talking about earthly possessions. Come on. You know, we're facing some economic crisis right now in the world because of this virus, and many economies have been shut down. And as a result, there have been good people who have lost a lot of their future inheritance as a result. You know, stock markets aren't doing great, and it's just the reality of the moment we live in. And it would be really easy to get discouraged thinking that somehow what you've worked so hard for could be lost in such the collapse of an economy, such a fluke sort of situation. But that's not the way that God's kingdom works. And so I want you to think differently. Read this verse from maybe a different perspective. Look at it like this. It says, "A good man." That is the same word or same idea as benevolent. In other words, a man who lives his life in a benevolent way, kind, good, cares for others, loves other people, that person will leave an inheritance, a heritage of godliness, a heritage of care and kindness that will affect future generations. Now that's the kind of inheritance you want to leave to your kids. I know that earthly money and the resources that we save up during our lifetime, that has some use. Of course it does. But friends, the biggest inheritance you can pass on to your kids and into your grandchildren is to live your life in a benevolent, caring, and kind way, one that demonstrates that you love your neighbor as yourself, one that demonstrates godliness and character, that you love the Lord and that you lived for what was truly important. The wealth of the sinner is stored up for the righteous. Listen, not even the richest person in the world will be remembered many generations from now. It's not their wealth that they're remembered for. Nobody is in a casket with wealth all around them. You cannot bring it with you. And what's left behind, what endures, it's not your money. What endures is how you lived your life. All right, how do you think like a king? You think about your life not in terms of the worldly possessions. That's not your stewardship. Your stewardship is in righteousness and in godliness and living your life unto the Lord for his kingdom's sake. All right, my friends, love you guys. Have an amazing, amazing day. Do good. Spur one another on to good deeds. Love one another well. And we'll see you very soon.